Good afternoon, folks. Hopefully the wind noise isn't too bad out here today. I'm gonna do a quick video out here this afternoon. I recently bought this Coleman lantern off of eBay. They had it listed as a 220F, but then they said it was a March of 1931, and the pictures on it weren't very good at all. I couldn't tell by the pictures whether I thought it was actually a 1931 or a 1941, but as you can see, it's missing some parts. There's no generator. The tip cleaner rod's gone. Somebody's had it apart for some reason. No fuel cap on it. These parts are loose. But I wanted it for that vent. I've got a 427 that I wanted to put that vent on. So I went ahead and bought it. And after I got it here and got looking at it, it definitely is a March of 1931 220B. So I am going to go ahead and see if I can put this thing back together and get it to work. I scrounged around through all my spare parts, and I think I've found enough parts to reassemble this and make it work. This is the lantern that I wanted to put that vent on, so I'll go ahead and swap that, and I can just stick that green vent back on here for today. But I do have a proper vent for this lantern. I just don't have it here at my house right now, so I'll go ahead and put this vent on my 427. This is a March of 1927 427, and this probably is its original green vent, but it's in really bad shape, and I just like the way they look with the older vents from the earlier 427s. So I'm going to put this vent on my 427, use it on there. Set this aside for now. I scrounged around through all the parts that I've got laying around here, and I think I found enough parts to put this back together. I'll just bring the camera over here where you can see a little better. It's missing the tip cleaner rod that comes over there. There's supposed to be a set screw right there, and that's gone. So somebody's had the burner assembly off, and they've had this off because it's loose. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the burner assembly back off if it'll come apart from there. And I've got a set screw that will go back in there. I've got a proper fuel cap for this lantern. Okay, I pulled that burner tube off of there. You'll never be able to see this on the camera, I'm guessing, but I can literally see a spider inside of there. So I guarantee that's full of spider nests. So I'm gonna have to blow that out with the blowgun good to get that cleaned out before we put that back together. The leather is about 80% there. So my first thing I'm going to do is see if I've got a correct size leather for that pump. We'll change that out, and then I can get that new leather, soak it in some oil while we put the rest of the lantern back together. The only new leather I've got left is for the smaller diameter pump tube, but I do have a couple of newer style pump tubes that have new leathers on them. So I'm going to take one of these apart real quick and change that leather. Okay, I gathered up all the stuff I need to change this leather from the newer style stem to the older style one. This should just unthread off of there. And the leather slides right off. I'm going to have to order some more leathers, but for now I'll just thread that back on there, put it back in my parts bag. This older style one's got a nut on there. You can take that off. And then it's got a little square washer underneath it. I need to save those parts. That leather's shot, so I'll throw it away. I really hope all this wind's not too noisy. I figured out on my camera how to change it to the wind reduction setting, so hopefully that helps out a little bit here. Put that square washer back on there. These nuts are hard to get started on there sometimes. Alright, I'll pause the camera while I fumble around trying to get that nut squared up and started back on there. Alright, I got that put back together. I got a little jar with some Marvel mystery oil in it. I'll set that down in there. Set that off to the side while we put the rest of this back together. I know that I've got one of those tiny little set screws, and it's probably clear in the bottom of this bag. Actually, yeah, I can see it right there, so I'm going to get that dug out. That is a set screw that will go through right there when the burner tube's back in there. I'm going to see, I can already tell somebody's tried to get that screw out and not had any luck. So I'm going to get a piece of wire and try to rod out the inside of this where there's a dead spider up inside of there. And then I'll probably take this, oh, well, heck, that's already loose. That's going to come right off. Let's try that one. That's loose enough too. I could take this in the garage, use my blowgun, and blow through there. Okay, I evicted some dead spiders from the burner tube. It's nice and clean. I also took those burner tubes in, blew some air through them. So I don't see any reason why that won't work. But we can go ahead, thread this back in there and see if I can get that set screw in place when everything's lined up. There we go, that's lined right up there. See if it threads in there. That's more like it. I think that's going to thread in there. These screws are a horrible angle to get to. Yep, that one's threading in there. There. Now let's see if that little piece is stuck. That should move up and down when you turn the tip cleaner up and down, but it, oh, there we go, there it's starting to move. Let me go grab some WD-40. Okay, we'll put a little bit of WD-40 on that. Maybe a little bit right in there because it goes right in there too. And we'll just try to work that up and down a little bit. It should come clear out of there once it's loosened up. I guess I don't even care if it comes clear out. It doesn't need to come clear out, it just needs to move, which it is doing now. But it's, there we go, it's starting to free up a little bit. Because I'll have to get the eccentric lined up with that. Yeah, that's moving pretty easy now. I've got a tip cleaner off of a newer lantern, but it should be the same, so I should be able to start that in there, and as it threads in, eventually it'll get in far enough that the end of that will engage with the slot in that little eccentric in there, and it should start raising it up and down. The easiest way I found is to just keep turning that as you tighten it in, and eventually you'll feel it line up with the slot and start working that up and down. There, it's just starting to touch now. There it goes. It moved a little bit there. Try to tighten that just a little bit more, make sure it's in the slot there, and this should adjust that up and down. The tip of this that pokes up out of there somehow was bent backwards just a little bit. So I had to pull it up out of there and straighten it out. But now it seems like it's working. It goes up and down just like it's supposed to. I got a brand new generator, and to the best of my knowledge, all the 220s clear back to the 220B take the same generator, so I'm gonna put this brand new one in there. You have to have that tip cleaner lever up to put it in there, and you have to line this little rod for the tip cleaner up with that eccentric block. Before you do all that, you got to put this nut on there. Now you take that back out. This nut slides on from the top before it goes in there. I do see that there's a chunk of something right there. Clean that off. Avoid that being stuck in the tip of the generator sooner or later. Now let's try this again. Get my fingers back in there, get the top slid in, the bottom goes right in there. Tighten that up. I'm about ready to see if his arms are always right in the way. About ready to see if the pump that we replaced the leather on, put that in there, see if the check valve holds. Put the new, or the different fuel cap that I've got. It didn't have any fuel cap on it at all. So I've got a fuel cap for it here. We'll put that on, we'll reassemble the pump, we'll see if it'll pump up any pressure, and then we're almost to the point where we can put a little fuel in this. I'll probably take it in the garage out of the wind to tie the manholes on there and burn them in, and then we'll bring it back out here and see if this old girl will light up or not. Sometimes it's a little tough to get the brand new leather in there. There she goes. I've never seen one so crusty that the little air hole in the middle of the pump was actually plugged up. Here we go. Let's see if it'll pump up and build any pressure. Well, it's hard to tell if it's doing anything or not. I didn't hear anything when I cracked that open. Yeah, it did build some pressure. Okay, well, over the course of this video, it's turned much colder and much windier out here. I took in the garage, burned in the new manholes in there, filled it up with fuel. I'm going to put this vent cap on it for right now. I've got one that is the proper one for it that's in better shape, but I gotta get it brought home. So I'll put that one on there for now. I'm going to pump it up, see if this thing will light. Well, that's not good. I don't know if you can see that. It's immediately leaking fuel. Well, right there would be the reason why it was leaking. There's supposed to be packing in there. I've got this one off of a newer lantern. You can see where the, I think that's graphite packing, I'm not sure what it is, but you can see where the packing is in there. There's nothing here. I can order a new packing for this, but for right now I'm just going to swap the whole stem out and put it back in there to see if that'll get this going. Then I'll order the correct packing so I can put the original stem back in there. I'm just going to take the knob off of this one. Slide the nut off of there. Slide the nut down on that one. Put the knob right back on here. I'll leave it kind of loose so I can straighten up the little nameplate on there to where I want it. And then loosen these thread in there. I found that if I kind of turn the whole thing in there together, and just kind of work it in there, you can get it in far enough to get the nut started, and then I can loosen that and turn the whole assembly together, loosen that a little bit again, turn the whole assembly together, and just pull that whole packing and everything in there. If this works, I'll order a new packing for the other one, and I'll put the original back in there just because it's original to this lantern. I might have gone just a little bit too tight there. That's kind of hard to turn. There we go. And I'll always turn my little faceplate on there. Might have that too tight. Turn my little faceplate on there so that when the valve's all the way shut, it's straight up. Snug that a little bit again. Maybe that's why it seemed like it wasn't pumping much pressure before. It was just leaking it right out. Let's try pumping it up again. Oh geez, the fuel cap's still loose. Gotta tighten that. When I filled it up, I filled it to where it ran on all over the place, so it's clear full of fuel. If I get it going, I'll let it burn for several hours and burn some of that fuel through there. All right, that should have some pressure in it. And of course, that lighter doesn't fit. Let me go see if I can find my little torch that fits up in there. Fits right in there on all of them. It's hissing a little. It's trying to light. There we go. There we go, a March of 1931 220B, back up and running for the first time in who knows how long. I bought it off the internet, bought it as a parts lantern, and once again, I've been here before, got it home and thought, well, that's too good to be a parts lantern, I'm going to have to do something with that. We'll let it burn for a few hours and then I'll come back out after dark and get another video of it quick. About 8:30 now. Lantern's still doing good out here. We'll let that burn for a few more hours and then I'll come out and shut it off before I go to bed. Well, now, folks, it's about midnight. The old lantern's still sitting out here burning nice. Safe to say this one's been brought back to life. But shut it off and put her away for the night.